back. And I'll never forget when I turned around and I looked, I seen Kamala Harris, you know, we locked eyes this one time and she laughed. She literally just like kind of bust out laughing, almost as in if she was pointing at him like, ha, 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 ha. That's how I felt. Though she didn't point, but that's how I felt when she was laughing at the verdict coming down. The next thing that I need to figure out is how can I get a retrial before I get sentenced, right? I don't know. I'm learning all of this stuff. I'm learning the law. What is it that, you know, it is? Nobody, out of everybody that was there, everybody knew I didn't do it, but niggas in their mind, they thought of it as in even if you came and testified to say that I didn't do it and not say that somebody else did it, that's still telling. When it's not.
Is the sheep teaching hate? It says, I'm not gonna let the wolf eat me anymore. If the wolf comes in here, next time he comes in here, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him off my back. Is the sheep violent or is the wolf the violent one? He wasn't teaching hate, he was teaching common sense. You know, somebody's knocking you over the head, stop him. Do whatever you have to do to stop him. You know, the ones that were knocking him over the head were afraid of the fact that he might swing back, so they said, no, he's teaching hate, he's violent.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Worship Warriors. Listen, this video is definitely going to be about a few things that, you know, of course, we got an upcoming election. I guess Kamala Harris is looking to run as opposed to Joe Biden. And of course, we have the man Donald Trump as well. Me personally, you know, I choose not to involve myself in picking terrible people to lead a country, but only person that I would actually support, the lesser of the two evils, would be Donald Trump, right? Just based on his term that he served last and the differences between them. Not only did we not have pointless wars, but also our prices wasn't heavily inflated. Now we're going to dive deep into a topic that honestly I think that we should be paying more attention to. Now this topic is brought by Pink Book Lessons, a channel that is pretty well known, and also of course the subscriber count is 438K subscribers, you know, but not a whole lot of people cover this particular topic, but I don't know, there's just discussions about it. But we got a man here who I'm not too sure what his name is. I think Jamal Trulove is his name. And you have the video description in the bottom as well. But we're going to dive into this video. This one's about her framing the man and giving him 50 years due to like a malicious prosecution. So let's hear about what she did and what she framed him for, and we're just going to offer some commentary on that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. So let's see what's up.
The cosplaying chameleon wrongfully convicted this man right here, Jamal Trulove, out of San Francisco. He was sentenced to 50 years to life in prison for a crime he did not commit, framed by the San Francisco PD and Kamala Harris, who was the San Francisco DA at the time. She went along with prosecuting him, although when she first got his file, they omitted evidence and erased important details on the drawing that was created in pencil. Kamala Harris found two women who originally both said he didn't do it. They ended up forcing those women to say Jamal was a suspect. One of them out of fear of being prosecuted herself after she was pulled over in an unrelated possession case. She had nothing to do with Trulove's case, but they made her become a witness and join their witness protection program to avoid prosecution in her own case. Basically, Kamala made up evidence, made up witnesses, and hid the truth from the jury. Then after he was sentenced to 50 years in prison, she laughed at him.
Because how could I not?
Excited to have another conviction by any means necessary, Kamala went on to run for Attorney General of California, where she continued to avoid the truth and accountability for prosecutorial misconduct. This story was absolutely diabolical. Shout out to our brother Art of Dialogue. Thank you, Art, for giving Jamal the platform to tell his story. We're going to get into a clip, but first, take a second to make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click the notification bell for all updates. Won't waste any time, let's go ahead and get back into it.
Now I got this new evidence. Oliver Boissenes. Oliver they had him down as being a known Norteño gang member or whatnot, but he's never been to the pen. This is his first time on the way to the pen. You know, he got the okay, you know, from his people to get on the stand and testify to what he remembered that day, right? And we did this in a motion to review for a new trial based off of new evidence before I get convicted, before I get sentenced. In the district attorney office, they came up with this cockbull fucking story saying that, oh yeah, he's doing this as a favor for the blacks and the northerners in prison and so forth and so on. Just a ton of bullshit. Like, how the fuck is this happening? And he's never even been to prison. I've never been to prison either.
There was a young Latino man who approached Jamal, telling him he knew who he was from the news, you know, having a high-profile case. He went on to tell Jamal that he was in the police station the same day police brought in a woman they pulled over. The woman came from the same neighborhood as Jamal. She was facing prison time for her own case. It was a very situation she got caught up in. The young Latino guy, he was also there for his own case. According to the young Latino, the woman kept telling them that Jamal Trulove didn't commit the crime. However, detectives wanted her to say he did. Why? Well, because Kamala Harris needed to find a witness in the case. They ended up making that woman an informant on Jamal's case, although she was not an actual eyewitness. She was just from the same neighborhood, and according to her in the beginning, she said word on the street was that he did not commit the crime.
You know what nobody talks about when it comes to building a content creator business? That if you're not using a tool like Honeybook to stay organized and professional,
the woman became an informant for Kamala Harris to avoid going to prison herself, then got in court and lied on the witness stand. She changed up her whole story. Before, she said he didn't do it. Then all of a sudden, she said that he did. Again, we're talking about a woman who was not an eyewitness. The whistleblower and Jamal didn't even know each other before, but he approached Jamal because he knew the truth about what was going on in his case, and he saw how
So this is absolutely crazy, right? Somebody who just so happened to have some information and intel on his case comes forth and tells him about the shady business going on from Kamala Harris, the active prosecutor in this case at the time. Now, all too often, this does go to show you that prosecutors do malicious prosecution, meaning they do pursue people who are obviously innocent, that obviously are not guilty of the crimes that's being committed. But also, if you can take a look at a lot of things, if you're middle class and below, if you're not somebody who's wealthy enough to be able to pay your way out of things or whatnot, you know, in some cases, if you're wealthy enough to do so, they still would try to hold you. But this goes to show you that you'll always be guilty and you have to prove your innocence. It's not innocent until proven guilty. So don't ever think that it's always you're guilty and you have to prove your innocence, right? Because they will hold you in a facility until you can do so, or until you can be able to give up some monetary or some money, right? So you got to give up the bread, you got to give up the coin, or you got to prove your innocence, you know? A lot of people choose not to deal with it. A lot of people just choose to cop a plea, and that's just the circular conveyor belt that goes around and around and around continuously from day in and day out. So as you can see, malicious prosecution, misconduct, All of that is all up in the court system. So people who have charges, felonies, things like that on their record, a lot of them probably truly never really committed a crime. They just use something to attach to them to make it seem like they committed a crime, but they just really wanted to get paid. That was the bottom line. They wanted to get paid, or they wanted a promotion, or they wanted to look good for their record. This is the only thing. Like I said, she had to, like it said here in the video, she had to find a witness. You know what I mean? She had to find somebody to testify to say that this man actually did something to harm another flesh and blood man or woman. Without that witness, without two or more witnesses, there's nothing established. You can't really go based on hearsay or whatever he say, she say, hearsay. You can't really go based on any of that, especially in court or in life at all. You know what I'm saying? So she forced the witness to testify, which is very interesting, right? That's a whole nother level of misconduct. Now, if she's in the seat of presidency right now, she's a vice president for us right now. The same woman who they claim to be a so-called African American or black woman, right? Mixed race or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they're coining her to be like the face of blacks or melanated people in the United States. As you can see, based on her rally when she brought out Quavo and Meg Thee Stallion, as though that's supposed to inspire us to want to rally behind her, promote her, and get behind voting for her. Like that was supposed to really get us really inspired, like in saying, I'm voting for, you know what I mean? But these type of tactics are old. They're ancient. They've been doing this for so long. The Democratic Party is just a formula that has not been proven to be broken, to not work. These are base-minded, melanated or black people who see this and is inspired to go and vote for Kamala Harris. I see it, and I'm offended by that. Like, you really think that I'm going to be motivated or encouraged to do so just because you brought out Quavo or Meg Thee Stallion, two people that I don't really follow? You know what I mean? Two people that have nothing to do with politics, two people that, have nothing to do with the community as a whole, or else they would be trying to push for something greater, kind of like Ice Cube, right? Two people who are more focused on their careers than they are focused on bettering the U.S. or the United States or society as a whole, right? None of them really speak out about what can be done to improve societal norms, right? To improve inflation, to improve a lot of the things that we have to face on a day in and day out, right? None of them has really spoken out about that. Their music is a lot of trash, encouraging young ladies to be whores and encouraging young men to go out here and murder each other. So, it's nothing that is uplifting or additive, like, promoting unity within the community is actually designed to destroy the community systematically, right? Just based on turning women into whores and turning our men into, ravenous wolves and killers and murderers, right? And things like that. But it also speaks a lot to Kamala Harris and her way of dealing with people when she was a leading prosecutor in the state of California. When she would throw the book at guys who are perfectly innocent, there are melanated brothers that's coming from the community that she's supposed to be representing right now. She's supposed to be representing y'all right now, right? Black people, melanated people. She's supposed to be, but she threw the book at these guys. She laughed at this man in his face after giving him a false sentence, malicious prosecution of 50 years. But we're going to go ahead and continue on hear his story, man, because this is very intriguing. And, like, if this doesn't make an impact on her presidency or her campaign, I don't see why it wouldn't. I don't understand why people would ignore it, But sometimes, shit just, life is life. But let's go ahead and continue with this, man, real quick.
When Jamal's attorney did research on the whistleblower, the attorney found that it was true that he was also at the police station the same day as that woman. But get this, Kamala tried to dismiss the whistleblower, discredit him because he had evidence of their misconduct, all of this so she can continue to keep an innocent man locked up. And what's so diabolical about it, even when they found out who the real trigger man was, she let him go in order to hang it on Jamal just to be right so she wouldn't look incompetent and evil for convicting the wrong man.
So
that's crazy. So she let the person who actually committed the murder, she let him go just so she wouldn't look bad, just so she wouldn't look like she was wrong in her conviction, just because that laugh that she gave him when she falsely accused him of it and convicted him and sentenced him and had him sentenced to 50 years in prison and laughed at him in his face, so she wouldn't have to take that back and apologize. That is absolutely, it's sinister. These are desperate acts of chicanery. This is simply things that are done just deliberately for reputation and for money, influence and power. That's it. So how can you trust people who are driven based on these things, these things, these materialistic things? And my thing is that I wouldn't suspect anything less from her. But let's get back into this thing.
the thing about it, and this is where politics play. If they would have granted me a new trial based off this evidence that was strong evidence, if they would have granted me a new trial, headlines would have been San Francisco District Attorney Kamala Harris convicting the wrong people in a time that she was moving to be Attorney General. You got the crime lab, you got 2 murder cases that has convictions that instantly get new trials to them based off new evidence and faulty testimony in general. And so in the judge, I believe the judge, favored this girl getting up on the stand, which she did because she.
One thing that I really want to point out is, man, listen, they don't care about you, right? What's that one song? Motherfuckers never loved us. You feel me? You ain't know now, you know now. You gotta understand something. Like, they don't give a shit about none of y'all, man. They are driven by power, money, and status. Literally, purely. This is what they're driven by. You gotta get around. You gotta get behind people who actually care about the country, care about you as a person, care about your communities, care about them thriving and growing and being successful. She only cares about her status, her wealth, her success, her reputation. She didn't care about what's right and wrong. How do we have people that we're supposed to trust, right? Because you're supposed to trust this person. A prosecutor is supposed to be prosecuting people who are violating and in breach of law, right? Who have caused harm or loss to another man or woman, and they're supposed to be doing this with a code of ethics. With a code of ethics, they should be doing this and performing their job, right? And her as a prosecutor, of course, she has an oath. Her oath is not to the Constitution. You got to understand that. Her oath is first to the state. Her oath is to, recognize and to adhere to the Constitution, but it's not to uphold like it is for public servants, like sheriffs, deputies, things like that, police officers, even your judge, he has an oath to uphold, meaning fight to the death. Attorneys don't have an oath to uphold your constitutional protected rights. They don't have an oath to uphold any of that. So if they can be able to get over on you and to reach a verdict where they're in success, where they can have the victory, even though you're an innocent person and it's violating and breach of your civil rights, your constitutional protected rights, things like that, common law rights. They don't really care about any of that as long as they have that success, right? And the judge himself will hear the arguments, but he can only be able to, he cannot practice law from the bench. So he can't help you in telling them that this seems like it's a violation of your constitutionally protected rights. Your attorney or you, man or woman, who has to have to stand up and actually vocalize that and say that this is what this is. You know, you got to understand what you're talking about, what you're doing, understanding where you're coming from. And this goes to show you that you got crooks all throughout those intergovernmental systems, right? You can't trust none of them at all, really. So, but let's get back into this thing.
She had an opinion after I was convicted. So what they ended up doing was not granting his testimony as credible evidence.
This bakery needs new equipment fast to keep up with demand. So they're going to On Deck, the online lender that makes it easy to choose your loan and if approved, get funds.
And they ultimately denied my new trial. I went to my second, and then when I came back for my sentencing, that's when I see Kamala Harris again. I'm back in there again, smiling, ha, ha, ha. I mean, you see her now, she smiles and laughs for every fucking thing, you know what I mean? And in my case, she did the same thing. And I got sentenced 50 to life. And you know, when I after I got sentenced, I made it my mission to ultimately, to get back and hold everybody accountable, from the police to Linda Allen to Kamala Harris, accountable for the negligence or the deliberateness of what she did to me and to numerous motherfuckers that surround me. Because it wasn't just me. It was Ijama, it was Demarie Hernandez, it was Charles Hurd, it was so many people, and those are all people I know that are definitively innocent that got convicted under the watch of Kamala Harris, regardless of their circumstances, regardless of their history being in the hood and so forth and so on, and oh yeah, this person was a bad person, or da 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 da, that's what he deserved. No, the facts are the facts, the case is the case. When they undercut these evidence and come up with evidence and not rely directly on the strong evidence to convict somebody, it's just wrong. But yeah, so I got sentenced 50 to life in prison. Yeah.
This story is just horrible. He spent 6 years in prison to make Kamala's conviction rate look good, to make her look like she was doing a good job when she was doing a horrible job. She was locking up innocent men, letting the guilty get away. So listen, the next time Jamel Hill, Charlamagne the God, Angela Rye, Joy Reid, or Ricky Smiley tell you that she didn't lock anybody up, that's a lie.
Then the black men, Kamala Harris didn't prosecute you and treated you bad in court. I got treated bad in court too.
Ask about Jamal Trulove. She locked up thousands of black men and even violated the rights of a lot of Latino men too. 6 years of sabotage, 6 years of this man's life gone. Not to mention all the years he had to fight. You know how much the city of San Francisco had to pay for Kamala's incompetence? Over $13 million in this case alone. Yeah, that's how much was paid in the Jamal Trulove case. $10 million for Jamal and $3.1 million for his attorney. Yeah, Kamala's incompetence ended up costing San Francisco over $13 million. That's how much they had to pay this man for what she did to him. If you want to hear more about this story.
Now, that's my thing. It brings me to this point. 13 million she costs. You understand? So if you take office and you're the president of the United States and you're making decisions and you're allowing things like this to go unchecked, unaddressed, uncorrected, and on your watch, how much money are you going to cost us here in the U.S.? How many lives will you cost us here? Because let's not forget, she's going to have power to incite wars, to encourage wars, to send your children, your daughters, your sons, things like that, overseas to fight pointless battles, much like they did during 9/11 when they went over to assassinate and murder vast amounts of people over in Iran and Iraq. It's the same thing. There's no difference. You know what I'm saying? How much worse would it be, though, when she has total power? And let's not forget that we're still dealing with a Biden administration, which she is the vice president of. You don't hear anything about this woman. It's like she's on permanent vacation. She's nowhere to be found. She pops up out of nowhere. Now she's running for president. You have no clue. There's nothing that she's really effectively done for melanated people in the communities, and for it to thrive. We have what? Higher inflation. We pay more for our food. We pay more for our gas. We pay more for everything, for cost of living, everything that we need, just because they have wars going on overseas that they want to fund, that they want to promote. During Trump's administration, all 4 years, there was no pointless wars. There was no higher prices, inflation, things like that, just because he wanted to enrich his pockets to be a warmonger, right? Because war is big business, just like prison is big business. So she's going where the business is. She's a calculated woman. You understand? For her to be a prosecutor and going for attorney general, things like that, there is big business in prison systems, right? Meaning they will come for her in the state of California. They're going to come to her. They're going to talk to her. They're going to do business with her. And they're going to hand her millions of dollars to perform certain tasks and duties the way that they need her to. So they can enrich them pockets with people, with your brothers, with your sisters, with your fathers, with your uncles, with your grandma, grandfather, anybody that can be able to get into these prison systems, anybody they can lock up for whatever reason. They're doing so systematically, right? Because it's a money game. It's all about making money. In fact, contracts not only are with the state and the prison, they have contracts to fill their prison up with a certain amount of capacity, or their jail with a certain amount of people. They have to keep and sustain a certain capacity for each state, each county, whatever, whether it be 85% to 95%. They have to keep the quota. They have to continue to send you to jail. So whenever you call the police, you got to remember, they looking to take somebody to jail. They're not looking to help you. They're not looking to save you. They're not really looking to protect you even. They're just looking to show up and take somebody out. Take somebody to jail, give them a ticket, do something. If they some of them are itching just to murder you. You feel me? Itching to pull a firearm on you. Itching for a shootout. You know what I mean? Some of them are just want some excitement, so they'll be happy to draw a gun, even though it's not necessary. And we've seen plenty of that going on just recently. You know what I mean? Where the officer was exposed for drawing his firearm and murdering this black woman over a boiling pot of water. So you got to understand who you're dealing with. Now, I'm not going to say all of them are this way. I'm going to say the ones who are making a bad name for the other ones who actually mean you good are the ones who are getting all publicity. And this is not by mistake, right? So the ones who are trying to do their job for real and they understand your protected rights, those are the ones that should be hiring, firing, and being able to do the things that needs to be done for the communities. But the ones who are driven by power, by greed, by lust, by racism, in my case, of course, I've had officers who were, and it was the most racist county that I got arrested in, who were driven by just racism, and it was like hatred, things like that, and they just really wanted to make an arrest. Sergeant probably up their ass, breathing down their neck, asking them why they ain't made an arrest, why they ain't wrote no tickets, what's going on, right? Because they have contracts that they have to do these things, and they have to keep a certain amount of these things in order for them not to be sued by either the prison or the court system, whatever it may be, because they can be sued. One thing that they always fear, they fear you suing them. So, black man, black woman, you start to learn how to properly file your paperwork. You start learning more about your constitutionally protected rights. You start learning more about common law, things like that. Use a Black Laws Dictionary. You start learning more about these things, and you start fighting back, and you actually start going to court and forcing them to dismiss certain things. Man, they're gonna have to start turning over a new leaf. They have to revamp their system, because right now their system is they arrest your black ass. You know what I'm saying? They throw you in jail. You can't listen to Cardi B. You can't listen to fucking Little Baby, whatever the fuck ever. You missing out on whatever you missing out on, right? And or whatever you feel, the streets, whatever you feel you missing out on. You can't drop your latest record. That's how they view you. You feel me? And you're gonna do whatever you can to get up out of there. And that's the reason why they use it as a fear tactic. Because you're gonna do whatever you gotta do. If you gotta sell whatever, rob, steal, it don't matter what it is. You're gonna do whatever you gotta do to get up out of there. But it's systematically destroying your life, right? Because you're losing your jobs. You're not able to keep up with your bills, right? Because you're stuck in there. Your job's curious as to what the fuck's going on. You don't want to lose your job, so what you're gonna throw some money at the problem, or you're gonna cop a plea so you can get up out of there, so you can get back to work, because you got mouths to feed. You feel me? This is the things that they're using to systematically control you, to enrich themselves. And so this is the person that's running for president. Somebody who wants to arrest, to lock up, to falsely accuse melanated black people, brown people, Hispanics. She's literally throwing a book at these folks. Literally. Because her percentages on minorities being in prison are so much higher than it is for Caucasian males or females. So just know that this is what it is. And honestly, you're the best tool to be able to defend yourself in court. As you can see, he did research, he did what he had to do, he never stopped. He also had an attorney, but he was able to win 13 million just because he wouldn't stop, because he wouldn't give up, because he wouldn't cop the plea. You understand what I'm saying? Even in the littlest cases, even in misdemeanors, we should start fighting back. We should start standing up. We should start, making them prove a lot of the things that they say, and see exactly where they're at, because they do a lot of this stuff because you allow it. So yeah, this is your host, Barack. This is War Sheep, and we're going to be signing off. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you believe that you're going to be voting for Kamala Harris this year? What's up? Tell me what you got going on in the comment section. I would love to hear about it. Also, don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe. And until the next video, War Sheep Warriors, I am out.